All right, well, that's all I can do.
I can't hear you,
You
Carolyn.
can't hear
There.
me.
I can hear you now.
How are you?
I'm doing okay. How about yourself?
I'm good. I am so sorry about that snafu yesterday.
Yeah,
Uh, what it,
I talked to Kate this morning and she's like, I don't see it in my
it's
calendar.
not.
Like it's going, I promise.
Yeah, I hit the right button and it all went away.
Oh no.
Uh, anyways, I'm going to add some stuff to the chat. Tony has his PowerPoint presentation. I asked him to join us early, and Logan is here. Thank you, Logan, to help troubleshoot with his PowerPoint presentation if needed.
Okay.
Because I personally am not quite sure how to share in Teams, but we will figure it out.
Very good. And I saw on I was actually out of town until yesterday. I saw in the email thread that Clary talked to Stephanie up in Taos.
Yeah.
So, the only information that I have is, kind of what's being shared on media. So I'm certain that she's going to have, a better update um, for, for what's going on in Taos.
Yeah. So I think she talked to the sheriff yesterday, and yeah, she's got a great update. And so we also, unfortunately, Kate McDonald can't join us today. So, but I put her update in the chat just now.
Oh, okay. And that's for the AFSP?
Yeah.
Okay.
You may have to put them in multiple times, Carolyn. If people are joining as guests, they're not going to see the chat like we do on the DOH side where we see the chat even if we're not in the meeting. Not everybody may be able to see it.
Okay, so I'll do it again. And I see Tony has just joined us. Hello, hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. So, Tony, we have Logan here to help us troubleshoot. And so if you've got your PowerPoint presentation, Logan, what do you recommend Tony to do?
Tony, do you even have an option at the moment to share?
I do, yeah.
Okay, yeah,
Right.
if it's gonna let you share, then it should work just fine. I just know like on the DOH side, I may have had to go to Carolyn's office and click a button. Yeah, it should work.
Yeah,
Yay.
looks like we're good to go, right?
Yeah, I
Excellent.
think so.
I see it,
So-
Tony.
Perfect.
So you'll just bring that up when we're ready to roll.
Sounds good. That was easy.
And Carolyn, just, as you see that Kate just logged on. So
Yes.
we talked this morning and we're kind of in agreement that, we don't want it to just sit there and go back and forth between Kate and myself. So we're gonna actively start recruiting, and so we're gonna kind of talk about that today, and I'll invite Kate to speak up as well.
Perfect.
Just to say, hey, look, we're ready to take that next step, and if you've got a vision that you want to see, so.
Yes. Well, I'm very hopeful too about Crystal Medina.
Was she? Sorry, my dogs. Was she the one that from UNMH?
Yep.
Okay, yeah. I mentioned her to Kate this morning. So sorry, my wife just came home and the dogs are going nuts.
They love their mama.
Yeah.
Hi, Kate.
Hi, Paul. I think they're nominating themselves for chair-elect. That's what.
So we'll wait about 5 more minutes. We may be a small but mighty group today.
While we're waiting, Clary, I see that you're online. Have we had any requests for that funding that we were able to get? I was talking with Kate this morning, and I didn't think that we had anybody that had asked for any funding yet.
Looks like you're muted.
I was muted, but I couldn't hear.
Oh, did
Hi,
you hear my
Paul.
question, Clary? Did you hear my
No,
question, Clary? So,
I didn't.
I was talking with Kate this morning, and I don't know if there's been anybody that has put in any requests for funding from that funding that we got for this year. Have you heard of anybody that has asked for funding for any projects?
I haven't. And I've been in communication with Stephanie regarding the bridge, but she hasn't mentioned anything.
Okay. Okay. Just I'll probably mention it in the kind of coalition update as well. You know, if there's anybody out there that's got projects that they're looking to fund, you know, even you know, outreach or education or whatever, right? So let's see if we can't get that, because I would like to get it spent so we can get more.
Agreed.
So I see we're at the top of the hour right now, but let's give it a couple more minutes. We got people coming in. All right. So thank you everyone for coming today. I'm Carolyn Moore. I'm the Suicide Prevention Coordinator with the New Mexico Department of Health. And this is the final quarterly meeting for 2025. And it is October 24th, 2025. I'd like to just say that many of you might not know this. But I was informed yesterday that Mars was in retrograde. And I think that explains the snafu that I had with deleting this meeting from your calendars. I am so sorry about that. So I will do better next year. Anyways, please welcome to the New Mexico Coalition for Suicide Prevention and Awareness. I appreciate you all for being here and for your dedication to suicide prevention in the state of New Mexico. And I'd like to take a moment here to thank Logan Hurt in advance for being our scribe, Paul Bierce and Kate Reeves for chairing our coalition and working with our work group facilitators. And I'd like to thank Tony Quintana. He's the program manager with the Albuquerque Area Indian Health Board, which is AAIHB. He oversees Proud Indigenous Youth Leaders Program and Community Health Education and Resiliency Program. He will be doing our presentation today on strengthening suicide prevention in Native communities, Proud Indigenous Youth Leaders Program, and the New Mexico American Indian Work Group updates. So we'll also be hearing from Lisa Rollader about the Youth Suicide Child Fatality Review Board. And Paul and Clary will be doing updates on our Taos Bridge. So very quickly, I've got a few housekeeping items. This meeting is being recorded and it will be available for viewing on the NMSPCA.org website and on the YouTube at newmexicohealth.org. We are always looking for new members and better ways to reduce suicide. And we can only do this heavy lift with all of you. If you could please spread the word and have them join, that'd be wonderful. Excuse me. So our quarterly meeting dates are always the fourth Friday of the quarter of the month. This is our last meeting, as I said. We'll see you back here on January 23rd of 2026. So with that, I would like to invite Paul to remind us of self-care. And then Paul, the floor is yours. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thanks very much, Carolyn. As always, you and Clary are amazing resources for us, and I do appreciate everybody logging on today, even though we didn't know that this was happening. It's okay, Carolyn. Everybody has those days. So you said something that just like floored me. You're like, this is the last meeting of 2025, and that's incredible to think about, that we're coming up on the end of a year already. So as you all know, suicide is a very difficult subject to talk about, and I don't think that there's anyone among us who hasn't been touched by suicide. So it touches us all, and when we talk about it, it can bring up those it could trigger those feelings and emotions. And so please, if something comes up in today's conversations or presentations, please take care of yourself. Take a break, go for a walk, take some deep breaths, and make sure that you take care of yourself, because that's ultimately what we're all supposed to do, is good self-care. So with that, as always, Carolyn has been an amazing resource for keeping these meetings going and getting some great speakers. If there's any subjects that you have in mind, or speakers for the upcoming year for 2026, and it's hard to believe I'm saying that, but if there's any topics that you would like to cover, or you yourself would like to cover, please reach out to Carolyn or myself or Kate, and we can get that on the agenda for the 4 meetings in 2026. And as Carolyn said, please get folks on board for this coalition. This is just helping us all get on the same page to facilitate programs, initiatives, awareness throughout our state, so we can impact those suicide numbers to decrease. And we've already made progress, but we're a long way from being there. So with that said, Kate, I'll invite you to speak up as well. This meeting denotes a year of me being in the chair position. Kate was the previous chair and now is kind of serving as the number two. We were kind of in a transition period last year when we moved into my overseeing the coalition. We need some leadership, some new leadership to step up. And Kate and I had a little conversation this morning. We've got some incredibly great people in this coalition that are dedicated to the cause. What we are hoping for is that somebody sees the opportunity to take the reins and make this their own and get some things done. I don't feel like that. Just going back and forth between me and Kate would benefit the coalition, because we've made a lot of progress in the last couple of years, and I will say this about our support from DOH has just been incredible over the last 2 years. We were a little unstable at DOH for a bit, and with Carolyn and Clary in those positions, we've been very, very stable, and we've had some great support, including funding, which is the next topic that I want to mention. We did get some funding for this fiscal year, which we are currently in. And so if there's anybody out there that has in the work groups or in any of your agencies that you want to do some kind of an initiative, awareness training, something along those lines, please let us know, because we do have some funding that we can reach out there. Kate, did you have anything to add to either of those subjects?
Yeah, I had no problem moving into the chair-elect position on an interim. We were really hopeful that we'd get some nominations, and that just hasn't happened yet. And, I had this thought the other day, just as Paul mentioned, that we're just going to continue this cycle, right? Bouncing it back and forth between the two of us. And I think neither of us would complain about that. But the problem comes, with wanting to advance the coalition. I think what really needs to happen is new ideas, innovation. New leadership is always extremely important in environments like this, or with coalitions or committees, et cetera, right? And to bring that new thought in is so incredibly important. I've been a part of the coalition for a long time, right? Since even before it was established, and I don't think that I can't do a good job if I get into that chair position again, but I don't think that that's what this coalition needs. I don't think that they need me in that position anymore, and same with Paul, if we just keep bumping this back and forth. So anyways, all I want to say is that, for anyone who is dedicated to this and interested in a leadership role within the coalition, please reach out to us and talk to us about it. It is a 2-year commitment, but where we're at right now with the chair-elect, because I filled the first year, you only got a year in the chair-elect, so that minimizes it a little bit, right? Because we're staying on schedule with what we have written in our guidelines. But and then you roll right into the chair position. So it is a commitment, right? It's typically going to be a 4-year commitment. And it goes fast. And really the thing that Paul and I talked about this morning is it's very needed for those positions to stay on a 2-year and a 2-year, right? Because you can't really get a whole lot done in that position in a year if we were to roll this over. There's a reason that it's set up that way, and it goes so quickly that's if that's part of the reason people are apprehensive about choosing to do this, please don't let that be the barrier, because it does fly by. And I think Paul and I worked very well together and established a lot, but again, just need somebody, some new minds to come in and move that even further, because there's still a lot that can be done in the leadership space in this coalition. So I'm hopeful that this will spark some interest, and again, reach out to Paul or, or me or both of us if you want to meet and talk about it more. We're more than happy to give time to share, what we've done, what we're working on, what could be done, and give you a little bit more idea of what would be involved. And in regard to your second topic, Paul, on the funding, like, take advantage of it. If you've got any ideas in your work groups, boy, there's money now. Here we fought so hard to get money and we got it. Come on, guys. That's all I could say about that, is if you've got any ideas, on what you can do specifically to utilize those funds to further what you're working on, or initiatives that are in your mind, please bring that up and use that money. We don't want to lose it if it's not spent. And that's it.
Awesome. Thanks very much, Kate. And those are my sentiments as well. I've really enjoyed my time in the leadership seat, but it's just time for new ideas. I see in the chat how much money is available. Clary, can you answer that question? I don't remember.
I would be more comfortable with Stephanie answering that. Unfortunately, she's not here, but since she's the fiduciary, I don't know what she's currently allocated, and she would follow the scope of work. But I mean, nothing's off the table. If there's something that somebody is interested in having funded, please submit it. I mean, even if we can't do the whole thing, perhaps we can support part of it. So I just encourage people to reach out with the programs that they do need funding for.
Yeah, that's perfect. And the other question was, when do they need to be spent? And again, Clary, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's on the state fiscal year, so it would be by the end of June. So we have
Correct.
6 months. We have set like 7 or 8, 7 months. Great. Thanks everybody for considering that. And again, I'm here. Any questions? Kate and I can certainly answer any questions. And I will reiterate that Clary and Carolyn have been doing an amazing job supporting us, which makes a huge, big difference in the leadership of the coalition. So with that said, we're going to move to some work group. I do see quite a few members on board that are leading our work groups. And so I can just kind of go down. We don't have anybody for communications and messaging. And if you're interested, you have a background in communications and you're interested in helping out to get our message out, because that's really, really important, then please, again, reach out to us. And this is an opportunity to kind of build a program from the ground up, bring in people that that might be interested in doing some communication and messaging. I see Desiree and Jody are both on board. You guys have anything to update us on?
Can you hear me? Okay, great. I'm speaking on behalf of Desiree. She wasn't able to get her computer to work, I don't think. So she put this list together, but we have not actually been meeting as a group, but we have done boots on the ground stuff this last year, and it's been super encouraging. Some care teams have been developed in faith communities, around the state, and some here in Albuquerque. And you know, it's so awesome, you know, to see the response of the people in the congregation. Desiree, you know, thus far this year, she had an opportunity through NAMI that they held a interfaith conference called Pathways to Hope in September. And we were able to provide updated faith leader resource guides, which are now on the website, and they're all redone through Amy Allen, and we're so grateful for all the work that she has done, and we continue to keep that updated. There is a course called the Sanctuary Mental Health course. It's an 8-week course, a video series that highlights faith community members with lived experience, with all different ethnic backgrounds, and just so beautifully done. And the response to that has just been amazing. There's one going on at New Covenant Church right now. They have about 3 weeks left on theirs. And then in the spring, there should be one held at Mosaic Church. Let's see. And then Desiree has the opportunity and an invitation to speak at Shepherd of the Valley, where we actually did the sanctuary course there earlier this year. And so she's going to be speaking at that church. And there was a presentation made at Sagebrush Church. Their pastor, we were able to go in and do a training for their counselors and their response team, because their pastor spoke on suicide on October 4th. So right before World, Mental Health Day. So it was very, very impactful, and really encouraged by that. Gabby continues to do her Think 3-2-1, the Be Kind model, the voice of kindness, and that is going really well. And I know that group is growing, so that's really, really encouraging. And then lastly, the International Survivors of Suicide Loss Day is going to be at Hope Church. And that is held the Sunday before Thanksgiving, or excuse me, the Saturday before Thanksgiving, and they do that every year. So that one will be from 10:30 to 2:30. So, we can send information if people are wanting to attend that. So super encouraged, it is really grown, and just to see the response of people just in their faith community being able to talk about it, because it's been so stigmatized and demonized truly, within faith communities. So yeah, I don't know. Thank you.
You guys are amazing. You guys have done so much in the time that I've been part of the coalition, and I hold you dearly in my heart because you guys are out there doing some incredible work to make a difference. And so thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks for the update, Joe.
Well,
And
thank
hi,
you.
Desiree. I know you can't hear us or talk to us, but hi, Desiree. I miss you. Is Miranda on? I didn't necessarily see her, but Miranda, are you on for the firearms group, firearm violence prevention? I will say this about Miranda. She is always in the public eye, doing interviews about gun safety, and I do appreciate her work. I know she's kind of a she's a lone voice out there, but she is being heard, and so I do want to thank her publicly for that. I did see Justin. Justin, you're on for the first responder group. I know you've got a conference coming up at the beginning of the year. So Justin, you want to hop on?
Yes, sir. It's good to finally be able to actually attend one. I don't know that I've attended one since the first meeting of the coalition this year, just because of scheduling stuff. So we have a first responder, it's crisis and mental health. So it'll cover not only like on the job dealing with crisis and mental health and suicide items, but we'll also address officer and EMS and fire. We actually have some local Air Force security forces and EMS that will also be attending. And so we'll address officer wellness and their suicide prevention, stress reduction. That's February 25th through the 28th here in Clovis. And it's free to attend for all first responders. It'll be a pretty good conference. I will say that I've not had any luck having a work group meeting. I know you and I have connected a couple times, Paul, but no one else has joined, so I'm not sure how we can grow that one. But if anybody's interested, please reach out. I think it's one of the groups that is often not really focused on, especially when you look at, law enforcement and corrections, probation. They see a lot of stuff, but they kind of go by the wayside a lot of the time. So if anybody's interested, please reach out. And I know Paul's been doing a lot of public speaking lately. Not so much retirement at this point. It doesn't seem like.
That's true. And Justin, if you have like a flyer, if you could send that to Carolyn so she could send that out, that would be awesome.
Okay, I can do that. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And that being said, Justin, I was actually in a retreat for the past 3 days. We were able to get a grant for a firefighter wellness retreat. And I've met several people that are amazing advocates for first responder mental health. So I will hook those people up with you because I think that will be important. It was a really powerful experience, and we are looking to keep doing that. We have some grant funds that we were able to get from the New Mexico Gas Company. Kind of on an interesting side note, Justin did mention that I am doing some outreach, and I have a grant that I've been working on for suicide prevention and mental health awareness, and we're actually going to bring that to the nursing staff up at the Taos Hospital. They reached out, and I was like, well, I don't know nursing staff, and they're like, we have the same problems that you guys do. So kind of an interesting side note that I think that there's a lot of folks out there that are looking for the information. So if your group is wanting to do outreach, the sky's the limit. There are a bunch of groups out there. So thanks, Justin, and I appreciate that. Carolyn, do you want to read Kate McDonald's update, or do you want me to do that?
I've got it in front of me here. Oh, is Kate here?
I'm
Oh,
here,
yay.
yeah.
Gosh, okay,
I'm
awesome,
sorry.
Kate. There you go.
I am literally sitting in my car between appointments. Thank you guys so much for having me. And I mean, all these updates are so good and so important. I'm going to kind of go out of order from my update that I was planning. But as Jody mentioned, the International Survivors of Suicide Loss Day event is happening on Saturday, November 22nd. Carolyn, I believe, with the email announcement, mailed out our flyer about that event. It is free to register. We welcome anyone to attend. We are also hosting an event in Las Cruces, New Mexico, and you can register for either of those at a website that I'll drop in the chat as soon as I get done talking. And so we're excited. I'm the new executive director. I should start that. I was on the last call, and I'm giving the update this time. Maria, one of our great board members, is going to be our new advocacy ambassador for the state. And unfortunately, she had a conflict, but does have next year's meetings on our calendar, so she'll be joining us then. So the International Survivors of Suicide Loss Day is a really big event. For anyone who hasn't been to it, it's from what I've been told from everyone who attends, even my fellow staff members, it's kind of the most touching and emotional day that we do at AFSP. And I think all of you guys know that, we do a lot of fundraising, but to me, the important thing is the reason we fundraise is so that we can do programs and do events and do advocacy, because all three of those things are desperately needed. With respect to advocacy, Maria is in the process of planning our Advocacy Action Day at the New Mexico State Capitol at the Roundhouse. We're looking at January. She is trying to get that date scheduled. And as soon as we have that and a flyer about it, I will send that information over to Carolyn so that we can get it out to the committee, because it very well will probably be before your next meeting. But we would welcome people to attend that as well. And then kind of finally, like if any coalition members are interested in helping plan any of these events or getting involved with our educational programming, or more importantly, receiving any of our educational programming, I will drop my email in the chat. I'm the executive director for both Arizona and New Mexico. I reside in Arizona, but any opportunity I get to come to Albuquerque, and if somebody would please plan something around the Balloon Fest where I have an excuse to go to it next year, I would love it. I was in Las Cruces earlier in September for their walk, and I want to go back there next December. Apparently they do really cool Christmas, so any excuse I have to get out to New Mexico, especially in the summertime, I'll take it. But we are thrilled to be a part of this, and AFSP is here to support the state of New Mexico. We're, really here nationally, and anything that you guys need. We have a lot of different and new programs that we are launching or we have already launched, and we are happy to help. And specifically, like I said, advocacy. I know you guys, New Mexico has a very short legislative session, and so that's presenting a bit of a challenge in trying to get the advocacy action day planned. So any questions, you'll have my email. You can follow up with me at that time. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Kate. And I will put in a plug for the Advocacy Day. I went last year and it was incredible. So let's do it again. I love that. So Tony, I will just let you do your update when you do your presentation. I don't have anybody slated for the primary and healthcare. I did speak to a young lady in at UNMH, and maybe we can talk her into taking that. Regina, is Regina on board for the youth group? Another very, very active group, but I don't know if I see her or not.
Yes, I am. Thank
Awesome,
you,
Regina.
Paul.
How are you? Good to see you.
I'm great, thank you. So our youth and schools work group is a very active group with a lot of great members. We do meet monthly. I believe it's the second Wednesday of the month, and we are planning some really big presentations that we're wanting to do. So what we decided was, since our audience is people who work in the schools and work with youth, one of the things we had been highlighting is having different resources come in and present at our weekly meeting, to share the vast amount of resources available in youth suicide prevention and just kind of mental health resources. So we decided that we want to incorporate a fall and a spring meeting where we're going to make our meeting a larger one and invite everybody in and do like a little resource fair, and provide some of those people an opportunity to present, and they're able to hear what's available in New Mexico. So we're in the process right now of putting together a survey where we can survey the schools, the leads at the schools, mental health leads, to find out exactly what they're doing right now for suicide prevention and where their need is. Because we can't provide a need if we don't know what it is that they need. We think we know, but of course we don't know. So once we complete that survey, then that's what we're going to focus on our now going to be probably winter meeting, and then another one in the spring. So those are things that are up and coming. I want to thank Carolyn for agreeing to step in and assist with the note taking, because that is my weakness. I'm really good at facilitating, but I don't do really good at note taking. So we are looking for another facilitator for this work group. So if anybody out there is interested or knows someone, because I work for New Mexico Department of Health, I would really enjoy if we could have someone that would be able to represent, the private sector, and someone that has more experience in that area to help take over the work group. I also took over the work group, as in just wanted to make sure that it continued with no intentions of leading it. But if we could have, if anybody is interested, I see that that's a need all the way around. But anybody who is able and wanting to, we are definitely looking for a new co-facilitator or a new lead for that work group. And I think that's it, Paul. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Regina. As always, you guys are amazing. As many of our work groups are, you're out there doing a lot. So it sounds like maybe you could use some funding, huh? So let's ask for some of that.
Absolutely, absolutely. We can give you a list by tomorrow.
Okay, awesome. Very good. Valentina Livingston, are you on today?
I am, Paul. Thank you.
You got any updates for us?
I do. So for the service member veteran working group, we, in our group, some of our members or several of them are involved in larger statewide initiatives. So like the Governor's Challenge and the Together with Veterans programs. So I think I see Angelica, Miss Lapahi on the call. Maybe you can give a little update and share a little bit about the Governor's Challenge.
Yeah, you definitely can. So good morning, everyone. My name is Angelica Lapahi. I'm the Suicide Prevention Coordinator for the Department of Veteran Services. So we have the Governor's Challenge, which has been in effect since 2022. And the Department of Veteran Services has taken on this coalition since 2024. And we have a few subcommittees within the Governor's Challenge. One is the lethal means safety. So Ms. Livingston is part of that. And we're kind of in a working progress, just like Paul Beers explained, where, the working groups are always receiving anybody who wants to join. And if you would like to join the Governor's Challenge, I can put my email in the chat and you can always reach out to me.
Awesome. Thank you for that update, Angelica. We also work closely together with veterans programs in the state. So Farmington, is there anyone in Farmington on the call? Chavez County. Okay, hearing none. So we also have another one in Taos County. Right now, we're currently waiting to hear back on whether or not we are awarded the Sergeant Fox grant. If we're funded, we plan to establish a wraparound service MWR lounge for our veterans up in Taos County. We're also trying to address the transportation challenges in that region. So we'll purchase a couple of vans out there to help get veterans to Albuquerque or other clinics for support. And we did just attend a Together with Veterans summit in Denver, Colorado. And so it was really great. We heard a lot of wonderful things, working closely with the VA. The Together with Veteran program is funded by the VA. And so in Farmington and in Chavez County, they still have funding, except for Taos County. So we're just, again, waiting to hear back if we can continue the work there. And then I also want to mention, I am also looking for someone who can help support me co-lead or help facilitate the service member veteran family working group. So if you're interested, please email me. I'll leave my email in the chat. And then my last side note is we are having a gun shop project New Mexico training. It's a 4-hour counseling on access to lethal means training. It'll take place on November 18th. The flyer, I believe, was attached with the meeting invite. And again, if you did not receive that flyer, I will also include the registration link in the chat. That is all I have for the working group. Thank you, Paul.
Awesome. Thank you. Again, another very, very active very active work group, and I appreciate all you do. Abe Valdez took over the LGBTQ plus work group. I don't see him on line. Abe, are you online just to make sure? Okay, I do not see him. In the chat, Tony Lucero from Pickers Medical Center, you wanted to give a quick update from your organization? Do you want to hop on?
Yeah, thank you, Paul. I appreciate the opportunity. Good morning, everybody. Sorry for my delay. I was actually had to give a presentation to the community members here at the Pueblo as to the medical center status. So it's actually a good segue into this meeting. We actually have been officially open since September, the middle of September. We're providing primary care, pediatrics, dental, optometry, including an optical center, as well as we'll have a full-blown pharmacy, and we have behavioral and mental health. We hired one LCSW and we're about to hire a second. So it's obviously been well received by the community, and we officially 638 from IHS effective November 1st. So we've submitted our final proposal to IHS. So we anticipate that being well received, and our final meeting scheduled for next Tuesday. That's all I have, sir.
Awesome, thanks. Keep up the great work.
Thank you.
So Carolyn, I will turn it back to you for a quick break before we get to our presentation.
All right, if we can do a short bio break, 4 minutes. Be quick. We'll see you back here in 4 minutes. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. So again, Paul, thank you very much for that. And everyone for your updates. Appreciate it very much. Again, if you have any events going on, any announcements, please send it to me. It's Suicide Prevention Program at doh.nm.gov. And I will get that out to our membership. By the way, our membership is 400 people. So it does go out to an awful lot of people. So, all right. We have a question. Kate wants to know from Tony, where's your medical center?
Yes, it's actually here right on the Pueblo. It's right across those that have never been here. It's or have been here rather. It's right across from them gymnasium.
Well, thank
And
you.
we're right now currently open Monday through Thursday from 8:30 to 4:30.
Excellent.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much. All right. Without further ado, I would like to invite Tony Quintana for his presentation today. Tony, are you there?
I am here,
And please share your screen.
just getting set up. It always takes me a minute to find the right buttons, but I think I'm ready to go. So I'll go ahead and take it from here. So yeah, just hello everyone. Good morning again. Thank you. Really appreciative of the coalition and for being invited to speak today. Share a little bit about our work and some of the initiatives that we have. My name is Tony Quintana. I am the program manager for the Proud Indigenous Youth Leaders Program with the Community Health Education and Resiliency Program here at Albuquerque Area Indian Health Board. That's a lot of words all the time, so I'm actually going to break that down in a future slide to just kind of help us wrap our minds around, what programs I'm with. But I'm going to just be talking about some of our work and initiatives to strengthen suicide prevention in Native communities. And so, yeah, just kind of a quick overview of kind of what I'm going to share and hope to accomplish in the next hour or so. Just share an overview of our work and some of our activities, initiatives that we have going on. Overview and a little bit more, in depth about the New Mexico American Indian Suicide Prevention Work Group, and then finish off with next steps and collaboration. Ultimately, that's kind of the goal. I'm excited to see all the people on the call today and would love to continue this conversation after the presentation and moving forward to see where we can connect, where we can work together and support each other in our work. So to break it down really quickly about our program, our organization is the Albuquerque Area Indian Health Board. So if you're not familiar with the organization, it's been around since 1977, providing a wide range of health-related services and programs designed to improve the well-being of Native American populations. We serve all of the tribes in the Albuquerque IHS area, which is 27 tribes, basically all of New Mexico, 2 tribes in southern Colorado, and then Isleta del Sur, Pueblo in El Paso. So wide range of area that we serve. Within that organization, there is the Community Health Education and Resiliency Program, which is the program that we fall under. And so CHIRP for short, might have seen some of our highly coveted swag out in the world. And so we, just like the name entails, we have a variety of services and initiatives, and some of those include suicide prevention, mental health, and positive youth development, which is what our program focuses on. So that's the Proud Indigenous Youth Leaders, or the PILE program. Our program has been around since a few years before I even came on board, and started out as sort of a direct services program where our staff would go out and actually facilitate, youth work groups and Project Venture and other curriculum and things like that. And the youth who participated in that first round of programming actually named the program, and so we kept that name moving forward. But now we focus more on capacity building. And so we do a lot of work with adults who work with youth or any essentially any youth serving organization to provide capacity building services. A lot of I'll go into detail about kind of what that looks like, what our work looks like. But right now we do have minimal direct services, although that is a possibility. If there's a need for that, it's kind of part of ongoing capacity building. And a lot of our current work has been and continues to be informed by the strategic action plan that was created by the New Mexico American Indian Suicide Prevention Workgroup. So a quick shout out to our team. Some of you might see some familiar faces up here as we've been doing lots of work in a lot of communities. Alyssa Hohola actually started the PILE program again, like I said before I came on board. So she's really had a huge impact on this work, and she's moved into our evaluation specialist position. We also have a student intern who is so much more than a student intern. And she's actually, as a result, well, maybe not as a result, but since working with our program, she's changed her major to population health. So we fully kind of got her on board with the work that we do. And our program coordinator, Chinook Ortiz, is actually on the meeting right now. So I wanted to pass it to you, Chinook, to give you just opportunity to introduce yourself and say hi.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Yat in the Hoka na Cortesian checking on in Nunsha. Touch it, but she's thinking like it needs a chase and actually nationally. Not enjoy it, Nasha, Bedil Tassanilde A Dashagan. Hi, everyone. Good morning. I'm the program coordinator for the PILE program along with Tony. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you, Chinook. And as we go through, feel free to chime in. Feel free to, add any detail I missed or help me answer questions that may come up. So thank you for being here. And then, of course, we have we get tons of additional support from the CHIRP team as a whole. We have the CHIRP team. We have a communications team, some additional trainers that help us with the work we do. And so, what I share is definitely not just the four of us here. So just kind of a snapshot of some of our program activities, and a lot of you might recognize a lot of these programs and curriculum. And so I'll talk a little bit about each one, but probably not in too much detail because I think a lot of people are familiar with them. But I do want to kind of highlight our approach to utilizing some of these programs. And in terms of the items kind of listed on the right side, like we do help to co-lead the work group, and I'll talk more about that in a minute. We have a project that has been we've been working on to create sort of a guide for creating policies that are trauma informed for youth serving organizations. We do provide additional trainings other than what's listed here and technical assistance. And so that could look like a number of different things. For example, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to rearrange my screen here. Virtual presenting is a ton of fun. But so that could look like strategic planning, facilitating strategic planning for groups, or action planning if there's an initiative that you want to work on, but you need some help sort of creating an action plan. We can support that. Program evaluation support, or a variety of other trainings. So for example, in the past, a school that we had been collaborating with wanted to make an intentional effort to create safe spaces on their campus for LGBTQ students. And so they reached out to us to come in and do some training for their staff, for their dorm staff, to kind of help facilitate that initiative. So just a few examples. And then we do, our group doesn't provide project venture trainings. Those are only provided through the project venture program, but we do offer, again, capacity building and technical assistance. So helping groups and communities actually have access to those trainings, and then access to whatever materials or program equipment that's needed to implement their program. So currently we are supporting the Deep Charter School, which is in Navajo, New Mexico, to really get their project venture program up and running off the ground. So some things that we've been able to help them with are, like outdoor equipment, tents and camping gear, things like that, so that they can actually implement the program with full implementation. So I want to zero in a little bit on some of these programs and just talk just for a minute about them. So some of our suicide first aid trainings that we provide, like I said, a lot of people are probably familiar with Assist, Safe Talk, QPR. I hear a lot of people talk about them a lot. We do have some trainers on our team, and then we also work and collaborate with folks from other tribal communities. And so we've been working hard to create that network of trainers so we can work together, so we can create access to training where it's needed. Our team does travel out, so we can go out to your community to provide any of these trainings. Of course, they're always free of charge. And we include this variety because we feel that each training has its place. It's kind of can meet different needs where they're at, and for a variety of reasons. For example, an organization really wants to do suicide prevention training. The only approval they can get for their staff to attend is a 1 hour, one time, and that's all we can do. We'd love to do something more in depth, but hey, we can squeeze QPR into that to at least start the conversation, get that going, and maybe we can do more things like that. But we also try to have a mindful approach and conversations with communities as well about how these trainings complement each other. So for example, if a community is able to train a smaller number of folks in Assist, they can help serve as a bridge to, professional care down the line when a therapist, someone is not available right now on the spot. And so we kind of talk about that with our Safe Talk and QPR trainings, that we're talking about referrals and connecting people to care. But there's also that possibility where you can also connect someone to an Assist trained caregiver to just provide a little bit more intervention and help with creating a safe plan, which is just a little bit more of a bridge to getting them connected to professional care down the road. We've hosted a T4T, a training for trainers of Safe Talk. So we do have a small network of trainers here throughout the state, and we're looking at other opportunities in the future as well for that. Of course, we provide mental health first aid both for adults serving adults and adults supporting youth. This one thing that I wanted to highlight with these trainings is we've been collaborating with Santa Fe Indian School for several years now. We've actually also in collaboration with the folks from UNM Honoring Native Life. And so between this collaboration, Santa Fe Indian School is working to, they kind of have a goal of attaining 100% of the adults on campus being trained in youth mental health first aid, which I think is a really incredible initiative. And it takes a lot of work and a lot of commitment, a lot of buy-in. But I think the last update I heard was somewhere around 90% of the adults are currently trained. So they also keep them current. So when the certification lapses after 3 years, they get trained again. And when I say adults on campus, it's not just teachers, staff, administrators. This includes all of the bus drivers, the security guards, maintenance folks, HVAC people, anyone and everyone's that what everyone is prepared to support a young person who is having a mental health or maybe having a mental health challenge. And they've just been sharing over the years just really what a difference this has been making and how they've been seeing this improve outcomes for students. So really great initiative there. We also provide technical assistance. A lot of times folks become trainers in a curriculum like this, and then there's some difficulties with navigating the system, figuring out how to keep your certification up to date, navigating the trainer portals and things like that can create another barrier to completing this work. And so we also provide that technical assistance to say, hey, we'll help you navigate these extra, challenges and things that come along with being a trainer so that we can increase access to the trainings. And so I just wanted to share a few photos from some of our trainings and some of our programs that we have done over the years. And just kind of highlight, we do we're always thinking about making trainings and activities engaging and pulling from a variety of sources that we have. Our team is I will say we're very highly trained. We have a variety of tools that we can pull from for facilitating meetings, trainings, etc. So I just wanted to highlight a little bit of that. And then I also wanted to share about our Reimagine Youth Wellness, a Caring Adults Summit. This is an annual summit that our team hosts. And we just hosted this year was our third annual. It was October 7th and 8th at the Inn of the Mountain Gods in Mescalero. Each year we kind of move the summit around because we want to, again, create access for as many people as possible. So first year was Santa Fe, and then second year we went to Farmington. Last year was in Mescalero. And so we're already thinking about where we're going to have it next year for, so that we can hopefully, again, increase accessibility for it. So the purpose of this summit is to educate adults who work with Native youth about programs, strategies, models, frameworks, etc., that promote positive outcomes for youth. And then secondly, just to build community and strengthen our networks for supporting each other in this work. Our ultimate goal is suicide prevention and reducing, associated risk for substance use. And so we're doing that by, looking at what we've been doing, what we're currently doing, and sort of taking a look at that, reevaluating it. The word reimagine is in the title because we're looking at innovative approaches. We want to create change and see where we can do that. So some of the topics that we've talked about at previous summits include items such as white supremacy structures and how that impacts our schools and our youth serving organizations. We've looked at alternatives to punitive discipline, such as school suspension, school pushouts, alternatives to incarceration and restorative justice practices, neurodivergent communication and neuroaffirming practices. And these are just some examples of things that we're looking at for, reimagining what it could look like for Native youth to thrive and be healthy. Each summit is planned with the intent to center youth voices and lean into their wisdom. So youth help shape the agenda. They this year we had youth, some youth attend to provide panel presentations, and kind of share with us their perspectives about the topics, about the things we're talking about. And so I just want to stress too, I know you'll see youth in these pictures, but this is not a summit to send our youth to so that they can learn everything and they can make the fixes and make the changes. This is for adults, us adults, to come learn and, do the work to see how we can show up differently to support young people as caring adults. And so we do invite a small number of youth leaders from different communities to share their expertise with us and, help make sure that us adults are on the right track with what we're learning. So stay tuned for updates about next year's summit, and we'd love to hear any ideas or input about topics for that. All right, so a little bit about the American Indian Suicide Prevention Work Group. So we have been co-leading this work group along with the folks from Honoring Native Life, Teresa Gomez and Jennifer Nanez. This group really got started before the pandemic, and they were building up some great momentum. They created this really robust strategic plan in 2019. And then, of course, 2020 came, and that threw a wrench in all the gears. So it was, yeah, we all experienced that. But we were able to get with folks at Honoring Native Life and talk about getting the group back up and running. So we resumed in-person meetings in 2024, so a little over about a year and a half ago. Since then, we've worked to update the strategic plan and just make sure that everything is relevant to present day, post-pandemic, kind of where we're at right now. And looking at some of the different, initiatives that we can work on. And so we haven't met in person in a while. Capacity is always a thing, and you have great intentions to meet quarterly in person, and sometimes that quarter just disappears and then you're trying to catch up. But we are looking at meeting in person again beginning of the year after the holidays, and so we'll share that information as well with anyone who's interested. And so at our meetings too, we've also done, we did an environmental scan to look at past, present, and future opportunities regarding suicide prevention in Native communities. We have a lot of discussions about how we can work together, what initiatives we can do to support each other. So one example of that is, we're working to create a trainer database of trainers in Native communities in different curriculums and programs that are frequently needed, such as ASSIST, QPR, things like that, so that we know who we can call on, how we can network and work together. And then we've also included in our meetings presentations sometimes, and that's something that we want to continue to provide. So at our last meeting, the folks from the Aztec, the Albuquerque area Southwest Tribal Epidemiology Center actually did a presentation on data, pertinent to suicide and suicide prevention in Native communities, and also on how to request data from the Epidemiology Center and how to do data requests, how to advocate for your community to participate in the Youth Risk and Resiliency Survey so that we can be sure that we have adequate data on Native youth, things like that. So just some of the highlights from, I guess, the past year of the the work group. And of course, we always want to focus on relationship building, networking, how we can support each other in our work. And the last initiative that I want to talk about, which is our newest initiative, is suicide postvention. So this is something that we've seen a need for as we do our prevention work. And a lot of times what has happened in the past is, a community or a group, an agency, they experience a death by suicide, and then they reach out to us for suicide prevention trainings as their response, part of the response, which of course, sounds logical and well intended, but we know that the specific suicide prevention trainings are not the best approach immediately following a sudden loss or a death by suicide. And so we wanted to be able to provide some training to help communities and organizations and groups create a postvention plan, so that they can respond in the event of a death by suicide in a way that promotes healing. And so this picture was just taken this week. We hosted our first postvention training earlier this week. And so we were able to have our folks from a variety of communities were able to come out for that. And so this is, hopefully the first of many. So I just wanted to talk a little bit more about this postvention, and how, so hopefully you can see how it might benefit your group or your community. And so it's postvention, it's a planned response after a suicide. And so, like I said, to promote healing and reduce risk of further suicide incidents, just to provide support in a way that we're not increasing risk. Sometimes well-intended responses can actually increase risk. And so this training just helps to understand those things and be able to create post-vention response that is mindful. So it's intended to be conducted prior to the occurrence of a suicide incident. And it's something that can go along with other response protocols. Most places have response plans and protocols in place for, inclement weather, disasters. I can't think of a better word. Also, things like fire drills, bomb threats, live shooter drills. This is another thing that can be in place, so that, should you need it, you hope you never do, but should you have that in place and you're able to respond immediately after, again, to promote healing and reduce risk post-event. The post-vention response, it looks at a variety of different levels. And so one, like the universal level, right? Media coverage after a high-profile death, or even in small communities, sometimes just losing a teenager to suicide is high profile. And so providing guidance, we're working with the media so that they can cover the incident in a way that promotes healing and doesn't increase any potential risk. And then looking at, a specific group or organization, such as a school, if it's somebody who is prominent or active in the school community, how do we respond to that? How do we notify students, teachers, PTA, et cetera, and what does that look like? And then working with the closest inner circle, like friends, family, and that sort of thing. So really taking a comprehensive approach to the postvention response. These are some of the core principles of the training, which align, directly with the, principles with our programming and with the other programs that we provide. And so you can kind of, take a quick look at those. Of course, looking, recognizing suicide as a preventable national public health problem. Um, things like suicide prevention extends far beyond youth. And, cultural factors are always important, of course. So we can, part of the training is looking at what are some relevant cultural factors for your specific community or your group organization that we're working with. The training it's typically a 4 to 6 hour training. Like other things, we can add on to it or extend it if there's some additional conversations or things that would be helpful for the group. Just like all of our other services, there is no charge. We can have up to 30 people per training. Ideally, we begin planning for the training further in advance so we can have more conversations about what would be most helpful for the group that we are training. And we know that real life happens, and so that ideal approach doesn't always fit out. So we are flexible. But it is important to note, right? This isn't necessarily a training that you just open to the public and just kind of bring any and all community members in here. We don't want to specifically invite folks who have lost someone to suicide recently, thinking that it's a training to support them directly. It's not like a direct services type of thing. But we want to be mindful of think about who should be in the room, who might be part of this training. And so typical attendees might include some of these groups, right? We're looking at people who may be in a position to be part of a post-vention response or response after a sudden death or suicide. So who might be some of those folks that are going to be part of this process, part of the process of notifying individuals, supporting young people, or supporting staff, other people, as we go through this, working with the media and providing guidance with them for their coverage of the event, things like that. So just kind of thinking about these different types of groups, and your community this might look a little bit different. You might say, well, there's this other group of people we want to invite, or we want to invite some of the lead staff with the youth recreation program, or our medicine people. There's a variety of people you might include, but basically just being mindful of who's going to be part of this response plan, and planning and implementing the response protocols. This is a quick snapshot of the modules of the training, just to give you an idea of what's covered. Looking at impact of suicide and risk of contagion, because we know that losing someone to suicide could potentially increase risk. And then understanding grief and learning ways to enhance coping to support people through that grief process. Module 3 is where we go deep into discipline-specific protocols. So if we're training, for example, a school, we can look more in depth at what that looks like in the school setting, or maybe a healthcare organization, specifically what it might look like there, things like that. And then we kind of finish out by talking about, when suicide becomes, or when postvention becomes prevention, and when, how we can use some of these prevention tools in the postvention response, and then kind of when it becomes appropriate to actually start implementing some of those structured prevention trainings moving forward. Some of the components, so things that can be taken away, some tangible things that you will leave the training with, include guidance for safe language, safe messaging, and recommendations for the media. We take a look at the social ecological model of suicide and how each layer of the community is impacted, community response and what that looks like, factors which influence community reaction, and having discussions, again, specific to the group where that is in the training. Looking at long-term resilience and what does long-term resilience look like, and post-traumatic growth. Guidelines for memorials, which is an important component for sure, because sometimes memorials, very well intended, can be misguided and potentially create additional risk, and just ultimately reducing risk of contagion and promoting healing. Quick look at the impact of suicide through the social ecological model, right? And this is what guides the entire curriculum for this training. So looking at the individual level, family, peers, clan, and then going out to the community, village, tribe, and then society as a whole. And we kind of look at each layer throughout each component of the training. And just a reminder too, like when we looked at the, who typical attendees or who might consider attending, it's not just the suicide prevention team or just the behavioral health team. It's really up to all of us. And there might be groups of people or, orgs that you never thought might be a important component of your post-vention plan. So just to highlight, we now have 4 trainers here in New Mexico. So we're excited to get going with some of these trainings. Like I said, the organization that created this program and runs the program is NAMI New Hampshire, the National Alliance on Mental Illness. And so they had shared with us that, to their knowledge, there's not any other post-vention trainers here in New Mexico. So if this is something that you're interested in, or you know that you could benefit from, you can get more information by reaching out to the Connect program, or you can reach out to me directly. I've sort of, by default, become the New Mexico contact for postvention. So, which is great. It's exciting that we're getting it going. They said there were a lot of trainers 10, 15 years ago. There was a whole lot of this going on. I think, again, the pandemic kind of caused things to fizzle out. And so we're getting it really back up and running. And so I'm excited to support anyone who is interested in working together on this or talking more about it. And so a look at next steps. What are some next steps for this group? One, you could attend a training. If you haven't attended any of these trainings and you just want to check it out, see how you could benefit, how your group or organization could benefit. We do have some already scheduled on the calendar. We've got an assist training happening at our office here in Albuquerque in December. Assist is 2 full days back to back, so you got to attend both days, the 16th and 17th. We've also got some Safe Talk trainings on the calendar, so November 13th. Safe Talk is just about 3.5 hours, so 8:30 to noon, just, the morning of November 13th and 21st. You can reach out to Chinook to register for any of those trainings. Additional next steps, you could request a training if those dates don't work for you, or there's a different training you want to ask about bringing out to your community or to your group. This QR code will take you straight to our training request form where you'll see the full list of trainings that CHIRP as a whole provides. And you can submit a request for us to come out to train in your organization. If you want to join the American Indian Suicide Prevention email list or work group, reach out to me. I can add you to our email list, keep you updated about initiatives and future meetings. You could join the CHIRP email list. We send out a monthly newsletter with updates about our programs, trainings, events, things like that. And we also include articles, that could be helpful to service providers or individuals, community members, about mental health and supporting ourselves and our communities. Or if you just want to chat, like, hey, that was interesting, but I just wanted to, soundboard, troubleshoot, bounce ideas, see how we could work together or collaborate. You could definitely just reach out to me. We can talk more, or you can just read more information about any of our programs on our CHIRP website. And I believe that is all that I have planned to share. I would love to, if there's any specific questions, please feel free. I hadn't been looking at the chat, so if there's anything there, I probably missed it.
There was
Yeah.
just one question in the chat from Joyce Rudman. It says, this training is 4 hours, question mark.
Which training were you
I
specifically
believe
referring to?
referring to the postvention.
Oh, postvention. It can be 4 hours. It's typically 4 to 6 hours. And one thing that I had forgot to mention on that one, it's typically 4 to 6 hours. We could add on additional time or even an additional day. After we do the training itself, we could then facilitate a process to jumpstart your group's postvention protocol. Sort of like an action planning session or something kind of similar to a strategic planning session, but that would actually kind of get your suicide postvention protocol going. So that's kind of an add-on that we can provide there as well. So we can do it in 4 hours for sure. And then some groups might want a little bit more time for more discussion and more planning added to it. So hopefully that answers that question. Any other questions? Thank you, Chinook, for pointing that out.
We have another question from Joyce.
So I'm wondering if any of this is done virtually or you have to come out in person and do that. And then if you do come in person to do a training, like, is there a radius or a geographic area you want to stay within, or how do you work that out?
Good questions. Thank you. Some trainings are offered virtually. The postvention training, for example, and QPR, those can be done virtually. Even the youth mental health first aid, we could potentially do that. We like to do in person when possible, especially for any of the suicide related trainings, just so that we can be in the room, we can have a resource person available. Sometimes it's a little worrisome when you're doing the suicide prevention training virtually and then someone just drops off and you're not sure if their internet went out or if they needed some support and you're not physically there to provide it. But with that said, we know accessibility is a concern, and so we want to make sure we can make these trainings accessible. So the short answer is some of them can be provided virtually. Some trainings we're not allowed to provide virtually, such as assist, where that has to be in person. That is a hard requirement of that one. As far as radius for where we can train, not really. If you have a location where you have a need for a training, we can travel out to you. Um, so for our traveling wise, so long as it's a organization or a group that's serving primarily Native folks, um, I don't know that there is a limitation to that. If you want us to come train in Hawaii, we are happy to do that. Just reach out and we can make that happen. Hopefully that made sense.
Okay, so if there's not really a large Native American population, then you are not available to come out and do the trainings?
Correct. Although I would like to at least talk with you and talk a little bit more and see if there is a way we could support you, or if we can at least connect you with somebody else that can. Although most of New Mexico, it's a little bit harder to find groups where there's not a lot of Native folks. But yeah, we can talk more about it for sure.
All right, any other questions? Tony, thank you so much. Tremendous information. I so appreciate the deep dive. So thank you again. And we have Tony's information everywhere. So please do reach out to him.
So,
All right,
Carolyn,
Paul.
let me just kind of echo what you just said. That's a lot of work that you guys are doing, and it's very, very positive. I wanted to mention two things. I have a very dear friend that is a survivor of suicide loss, and she uses that phrase, post-vention is prevention, and I think that is really, really important for all of us to realize. And thank you for the efforts on that. And then the other thing that you said that really touched my heart is it takes all of us. It's not just a special group of people, it's everyone to make a difference. So thank you, Tony. That was a great presentation.
Thank you so much. That means a lot, and I really appreciate the opportunity to present. And I saw one thing in the chat that I just wanted to say for our training request form. Postvention is not on the training request form yet, just because it's so new. We haven't updated our website. So if you did want to request a postvention, you could just email me directly, and I'll work with you on getting that set up. So I apologize for that. But again, thank you so much. This was a great opportunity.
Thanks again, Tony. So moving on in the agenda, I just wanted to point out that the survey results for the coalition that went out with the emails that you got a lot of from me, sorry. Anyways, are there any questions about our survey results? Or if there are any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me. Do we have any at this time? Okay, hearing none. I'd like to ask, Lisa, are you on the call? She
Yes,
wanted
I
to
am.
talk to, oh,
Yes,
great.
I
Okay,
am,
thanks.
Carolyn.
So if you could introduce yourself and let us know about the Youth Suicide Child Fatality Review Board.
Sure. Thank you for this opportunity to speak to the group today, and I hope to be an ongoing member of this coalition. I'm Lisa Roleader, and I'm the statewide coordinator for the Child Fatality Review Program in New Mexico. For anyone who may not be familiar with Child Fatality Review, our state, as well as every state in the US, and I believe Navajo Nation as well, has a child fatality review process. The purpose is to bring together a multidisciplinary team of individuals to look very deeply at instances of the death of children under the age of 17, or sorry, 18. It includes 17-year-olds, as a result of injury or violence. So we don't look at deaths that result from natural causes, medical disease or illness, but injury and violence we do look at. And we're really trying to understand what the risk factors were that may have contributed to that death, as well as any protective factors that we can really enhance to bolster protection of children. And then teams make recommendations based on the risk and protective factors that have been identified. In New Mexico, we have 5 different panels that operate, and one is specifically focusing on youth suicide. We're in a rebuilding year. I was just hired in May. The program was really on hold for about a year. So we're rebuilding. Carolyn and Clary participate in the youth suicide panel, but we're always looking for additional individuals who have an interest in participating in the process. And so that's why I wanted to have a minute just to let you know what the CFR is, and invite you, if you are interested in finding out more. I'll pop my email and my phone number in the chat. I'm not sure. I think I just have a few minutes on your agenda, so I don't want to take up more time than is allotted. But and Carolyn, you let me know if there's time for a question. I'm happy to answer a question. Oh, I will say this. The Youth Suicide Panel currently is meeting on the 3rd Friday of each month for 2 hours. We typically review 2 cases during that time, and the meeting is from 9:30 to 11:30 on that 3rd Friday. And I'll put my info in the chat.
Excellent. Thank you, Lisa. Appreciate it. So anyone interested, please join us. All right. Paul and Clary, I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about what is going on at the Taos Bridge, please.
Thank you, Carolyn. I received some information from Stephanie, and please, Paul, after I go over this, add any additional information you have. Stephanie with Help Outreach Taos and New Mexico Fight for Life have been doing really a lot of work up at the bridge to gain momentum and to really try to make the changes that need to be made up there. So the report from Stephanie states that the signs, barriers, and patrols are still active at the bridge. But I want to clarify for anybody who hasn't been able to put their own eyes on it. When they say the bridge is closed, what they mean by that is there are 2 lighted signs, one on each end of the bridge, that says no walking on bridge closed. There is 1 to 2 orange barrels and a little sign that says sidewalk closed on each end, but it's absolutely still accessible. They just aren't allowing anybody to walk on it. So there's always courtesy patrols at our rest stops in New Mexico that are contracted by DOT. And that is the case up there as well. For several years, they were told that they really don't have anything to do with the bridge. They're primarily there for the rest stop. However, when I went up there last, there is a patrolman driving up and down the bridge. The vehicle isn't marked or anything like that. So Stephanie has met with Representative Susan Herrera, and they have committed to funding security based on calls and events at the bridge and the time. So, and to actually have them trained in suicide prevention, which hasn't been the case before. So in looking at the calls for service to 988 from the call boxes, it looks like for the last 14, 15 months, the vast majority of the calls from the call boxes come between 7 a.m. and 5 p.m. So not in the evenings hours as had been suspected. Only 2 calls were recorded at 4 a.m. So this information was provided to Representative Herrera to justify spending additional funds for security at the bridge while we're waiting to see if we can add additional barriers. So for the crisis line, we discovered over a year ago that not all the call boxes were operational and they weren't being checked on a regular basis. So as of a year ago, they are being checked every 2 weeks by Department of Transportation and the 988 call center. Based on the report that Stephanie reviewed from 988, September 17th of 2024, that week and the week prior was the only period that all 10 call boxes were reported to be functional. The call box testing reports showed that 50% were not operating properly the remaining period of time. October 18th, 2024 was the date when the call boxes began to be tested regularly. And so they are working together. However, the point of the call boxes really isn't at the forefront any longer because there's, they're limiting access to the bridge with the pedestrians. Now, there was a engineering evaluation done, and Stephanie has requested that on behalf of the town of Taos. She's also requested the DOT feasibility study and the engineering study on barriers that were done by an outside agency. So we expect to have those within the next couple of weeks. And based on the information that we were able to access, a net would not be possible at that bridge. It's a swing bridge, and I think everybody's kind of in agreement on that wouldn't work, and it'd be very, very expensive. However, it is strong enough to hold additional railings to increase those, several feet. And it also will accommodate plexiglass or clear glass. So that may be an option for barriers as well. I believe the extension of the wrought iron is around $15 million. And so that, of course, DOT owns the bridge, they operate the bridge, and the funding would come from them, if not an outside agency. So we'll keep you updated as things progress. We are starting a fatality review here at DOH and Office of Injury and Violence Prevention to review the cases at the bridge. So if you are interested in participating in that fatality review, please note that in the chat, and we will follow up as things progress. We're looking at reviewing cases from 2019 to present, and I will say in gathering those records that from 2019 to 2023, we were averaging 2 to 3 deaths by suicide at the Gorge Bridge. However, this year in 2025, we are at 8 deaths by suicide in Taos at the bridge this year. So I do believe that by doing this fatality review and help outreach Taos continuing their work with DOT and evaluations, that we really can make a big difference up there. And the community really needs that. I mean, just the rescuers and the sheriff's department alone are impacted so much by this and having to go up there so frequently that it really affects their mental health too. So I really want to provide more support up there, and I'm happy that that's happened. The momentum is picked up. There was some media exposure earlier this month and last month, so that's helpful as well. But I also always want to take the opportunity to thank each of you for all that you do in New Mexico for suicide prevention. The world is a better place with each of us in it. Thanks for the time, Carolyn. And Paul, please add anything additional that you'd like to.
Thanks, Clary. That's great information. And I just want to echo one thing that I've heard, through my contacts, that you are so correct about the rescuers that respond up there. you know, it's been an issue for a very, very long time. I did just a really quick like Google search as I was, you know, looking for things to talk about, and there was a memorial that was put before the legislature back in 2012. So this has been on a lot of people's radars for a very, very long time. And I'm so happy that we are, like you said, getting some momentum going on this because it's, you know, it's unfortunate that that bridge has that, you know, that reputation and that um, that, you know, it's a destination for suicide, and that is unfortunate for Taos and for the state. There was one question in the chat from Joyce about 988 calls redirecting to local dispatch offices. I don't know if you know the answer to that, Clary. I do not know.
I was just typing and it'd be much easier to relay it verbally. So great question, Joyce. If immediate response is needed in person, then they are going to have the crisis response team be dispatched. Other than that, they do not transfer the 988 calls. And of course, the first choice would be a crisis response. We have those in so few communities that it is normally law enforcement. And the only reason that someone would be dispatched is if they thought they couldn't de-escalate the call and someone was in severe distress.
Okay, that's not quite what I had heard. So I just heard that they were automatically being transferred over and it didn't really have anything to do with severity of the call or priority for care on that. So, and of course, a crisis dispatch would be an excellent resource to have, but out here in the rural areas, you know, we don't have that. And
Right.
so, if you're in a situation like that and you call a number where you're supposed to be able to talk to somebody, and then they send the police, that's gonna, you know, discredit a little bit of the mental health value in using that number if, well, I'm going to get the police. And so, um, I don't know what's a good way to resolve that, but
They are
it's
only
it's an issue.
dispatching if there is imminent danger. That is the only way that call would be transferred. They do not transfer calls to law enforcement. That does not happen.
Okay. Thank you.
Great question.
There was also a couple of people that it looks like Terry and Kate saying that if you are looking for some participants in your fatality review, they would be interested. So if you want to reach out to them.
Wonderful. Thank you, Terry and Catherine.
So Carolyn, earlier there was, since we have just a few minutes, there was a chat from Katrina Fuller. I'd like to give her the opportunity, if she's still on. She has some kind of updates from Lee County. Katrina, are you still on?
I'm still on.
Would you like to give an update that you had given in the chat in case anybody missed it?
Oh, it was more of a celebratory chat message.
I
Just
I thought it
letting
was
everybody,
just amazing information. So if you want to share, please do.
just letting everybody know. Most people know our story because it kind of went viral. 5 years ago, we lost our 11-year-old son to suicide. And here in Lee County, we didn't even have counseling services at that time. And so now, 5 years later, we've been working so hard with a few different nonprofits, but now we have a full spectrum of suicide prevention, intervention, and postvention awareness, education, support, just everything that you could imagine. And it's all evidence-based, working with different suicidologists and things about, we've had a lot of successes and failures, what works and what doesn't work in our community. We've learned along the way. And I think as far as for our community right now, we have exactly what we need So it's just been amazing to be a part of and to witness come to fruition. And it's just a blessing.
And I would suggest everybody read, Katrina's post, because it's really truly amazing how a community can come together to make a difference. And that's I'm not a mental health provider, but I will tell you that in my knowledge base, I know that the rural areas um, are lacking of resources, and that doesn't mean that you can't find the resources that are out there to come together to get a community to band together to find what would work for that community. So thank you for all that hard work, it's going to make a difference, and I just wanted to give you a chance to let us know, and then to thank you. So
Thank you, guys.
so that takes us to we're just a few minutes early, but Carolyn had given us the next meeting, which is on the 23rd of January, the last Friday, and it'll be at 10 o'clock. And Carolyn will send out the agenda. And again, if you have any ideas for presentations, I will get with you, Carolyn, and we will kind of look at what we can do for that meeting. But if anybody has any ideas, and again, I will put the feeler out there for any funding that you are looking for, especially those rural agencies. If you're looking to do a suicide awareness or suicide prevention and a mental health awareness program in your community, maybe this is the opportunity. And if you're looking to become more involved in the coalition and you want to step up into a leadership role, then let us know. We will be glad to hear from you. So with that, Kate, do you have any closing remarks, or Carolyn or Clary?
I don't, Paul, but thank you everybody who attended today. I'm always very impressed with when we come to these meetings because there's so many of you that have, dedicated yourselves to this coalition and being here quarterly, and it's just it's recognized, I think, by all of us and appreciated. That's it.
I totally echo what you just said, because amazing group of people who are out there doing great things. And so thanks everybody for the updates. Thanks for all that you do. And as Clary said, you guys are making a difference. You really, really are. So Carolyn, I will turn it back to you to close it out.
Well, again, I'd like to thank Tony Quintana for his wonderful presentation. Thank you for joining us today. And Paul and Kate, we can't do this without you. So we're going to need your guidance and your support, but we would love to have anyone who would like to step up to give any one of us a call. And other than that, again, thank you to everyone for what you do to help us prevent suicide in New Mexico and everywhere. Please be safe. Happy holidays to everyone, since those are around the corner. And we will see you in 2026.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.